Welcome to the Power of One. We are going to be speaking with Dom, an NFL player, and we're going to be talking about a very important topic, sports and safety. Welcome to the show, Dom.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Dom, let's jump right in. You are a coach and you coach young people. I've noticed on the news Bronny, who is LeBron's son, and we can't forget Mr. Hamlin and what he experienced on the field. That is just scary. You would think these young people are like the picture of health, and they're experiencing cardiac arrest. Let's talk about sports and safety. What does young players need to do before they take the field or the court?
They need to make sure that they're healthy for these sports. I will say right now, basketball season is summer league basketball is big right now, and we have something in Philly called the Danny Rumpf tournament, and that tournament stems from a former collegiate basketball player, Danny Rumpf, who passed away due to cardiovascular, and it's something that they take pride in because we always look at the limbs, we look at muscles, but we don't really pay attention to our heart, which is our biggest and strongest muscle. So it's something that we tend to overlook, but we need to stop doing that, especially in today's climate.
Are these young people, are they required to get physicals before they can, play for that game, or how does that work?
So they have to take physicals at the beginning of the year to be cleared to be able to participate in sports. But I think it's something that needs to be done at least twice a year. I think that each team should have some type of EKG reading twice a year, and that we're keeping up with these young guys' hearts because they're growing at a rapid pace. And a lot of times, with certain growth spurts, their heart may not be able to pump blood to the areas of their body as fast as they should.
Are there safety protocols in place for these young players? And let's even speak about the NFL. Is it that, you have to have the proper diet, you have to have the proper rest, you have to drink 8 glasses of water a day? Is there a safety protocol in place?
Well, the NFL is different because the guys are in training camp right now. So they have literally a kitchen staff there to provide them with the necessary meals to meet their nutritional diets. Not only that, there's also weight limits. So like when I played, I was a broad receiver and I weighed roughly 225. I couldn't go any higher than 228 and I couldn't go anywhere below 220. So if that was the case, they would monitor me and they would pull me out of practice if I went below or above those restrictions. But like I said, the NFL is different because they'll have people there to monitor your diet. Now, when it comes to our teens and our youth, they really don't have such an option to eat. Sometimes they may only have noodles in the house. Sometimes they can get fast food because I know for me, once I get off of work, I go straight to practice. And then after practice, I'm getting home around 9:30, 10 o'clock. There's not too many parents that are actually going to start cooking at that moment. So you will grab something quick, fast on the go, which most likely will be some terrible fast food. And our kids are constantly pumping that into their bodies, into their systems. So being able to provide them with a better diet and have them understand that eating healthier shows you that your body is your investment. So kids tend to just look at muscles, tend to look at their speed, but they don't realize what they're putting in their body. They're wondering why they have pimples. They're wondering why they may wake up with no energy. And it's not from working out. It's not from sweat. It's from them drinking sodas and eating cheeseburgers and cheesesteaks.
Right. Now, you spoke about your weight. Now, when you say if you went over or under, what would that indicate?
If I went over, that just indicated that I'm obviously eating too much. And at the time, find me. If I went over 228, I'll get fined. Started off with a warning. After that, you'll get fined. But if you went below the threshold, mine was 220, They just have to monitor it because I shouldn't be losing weight that fast. So we'll get weighted in practice, and then we'll actually get weighted after practice. And that's something that I believe that schools should start to take notice on, have their guys have a weigh-in pre-practice and have a weigh-in post-practice, because if a kid weighs 200 pounds before practice and they finish practice at 190, 190, you really have to monitor them and make sure that they pump those fluids back in their body.
Okay. Now you coach basketball, football?
I coach football, but I played basketball in college. So I do, at times I will, take people through basketball workouts, but football is my primary sport.
Okay. So you're coaching football where now?
At St. Joe's Prep. St. Joseph.
Okay. Now, do you have like a medical team that's by you in case something happens to one of your players?
So one thing that I will say about St. Joe's Prep, the one difference is that by being a private school, we do have the luxury to be able to afford a staff member to be at practice. So we do have a trainer that's at every single practice. We do have a team doctor that's not at the practice, but we have a team doctor that, are able to see our guys. And we also have an emergency plan in place. Every practice, we have a pre-practice meeting. And at the pre-practice meeting, we get our agenda for the day. And at the bottom of the agenda, it's a job for each coach. So we have a coach. If an emergency happens, there's a certain coach that calls the parent. There's a certain coach that calls 911. There's a certain coach that alerts the team doctor. There's a certain coach that clear out the way. So everyone has a job. And that way, in these instances, it's nobody looking around to say who's doing what. When it happens, it's go time. Like, coaches are jumping into action. Coaches are certified. Coaches know how to use the defibrillator. So with so many things that we're able to do that a lot of other schools, honestly, in the public league don't really have the luxury, because they either don't have the funds at that particular school or they just don't have members to actually join.
Okay. Now let's speak about concussions. Do you see that a lot in young people? I know that they changed some rules in the NFL years ago because a lot of the NFL players were getting injured. Do you see that a lot in your young players?
I don't see that many concussions now with the young players because, one, the impact isn't as vicious, but at the high school level, these kids are getting bigger and stronger. So the impact is low-level college type impact. But one thing is, the difference is that when I played Little League, we just hit each other all day, every day. We really didn't go over the true technique, the true training. Now the coaches are actually breaking down the processes of tackling. Like, I coach youth football at E9, and I'm watching our 11U team, and they just went over proper tackling for the past 20 minutes. And that's not normal in youth football. Like, they'll go over proper technique maybe the first day, then after that, typically they're just constantly hitting. But we really harp safety here at E9 because we don't want to see kids get injured because they're such a young age. We want to see them thrive. We want to see them grow up and be able to continue their dream of playing football. What
can parents do to ensure that their babies are in good health when they're playing sports?
First, start with what's being made on the stove. Everyone doesn't eat super healthy, but you just don't want to pump fast food, fried food, fatty foods into your children because what goes in has to come out through their sweat. Some of them can't sweat because they're just clogged up through their energy. A lot of parents don't really understand what it really takes to make sure that their child is able to perform at the best of their ability. So I would say parents can start with understanding how the body actually works through food. After that, it's proper rest, proper hydration. I'm not a nutritionist, but I tell my sons to make sure that you're drinking at least half your body weight in water. I don't want to over dilute them with water, and I don't want to keep them under because that's when the cramps and the injuries really can take into effect. Outside of that, stretching. A lot of kids do not stretch. They're in tight bodies by them being young. They think they could just wake up and play in 4 games in one day and be fine. But having them stretch pre-practice, having them stretch post-practice, having them stretch at home, those things help, and it keeps their body and also helps them play longevity.
Did you ever experience an injury while you were playing?
I experienced a lot of injuries.
Okay.
I tore my labrum in college. I tore my ACL when I was playing with the Rams. I broke both my hands. I fractured a bone in my foot. I have a bulging disc in my back. So yeah, I have a lot of injuries.
And this was all, well, it happened all throughout that. Then that's interesting. So let's unpack that for a minute. So you had like injuries like in college, you said in the NFL. Did any of it ever stop you from playing? And was like any of it preventable?
None of it was really preventable. Because it's just the course of football. One of them, one time I got hurt by the way I got hit. Another one, it was during practice when I didn't go 100%, but the person I was going up against did go 100%. And my hand, face mask, and I broke my hand. When I tore my ACL, I was just running. I didn't get touched. I didn't get hit. I just made a move and I just went down. So none of it was truly preventable, but at the same time, it could have been. I could have, with my ACL, I could have did better leading up to that game to alleviate how much stress I was putting on my legs because I was doing a lot outside of practice, outside of working out, and my body was just kind of tired. But that's also not understanding how to properly take care of your body with seeing a chiropractor, doing the proper stretches, because everybody thinks chiropractors only deal with your back. But once you understand that your hamstrings are also attached to your back, you'll understand why it's good to see chiropractors. So just understanding, like, outside of stretching, outside of lifting, you have to make sure that you take care of your feet, you have to take care of your hands, you have to take care of your mental, you have to take care of your back as athletes.
Let's speak about the mental aspects of that, because we're all human and we all have different things going on in our lives. How does the mental state affect how one actually plays on the field?
It affects a lot, actually, because you only can go as far as you can think you can go. So if you're somebody that steps out there, and a lot of times somebody may say, man, I'm about to drop this pass, and they drop it. And they wonder why they dropped the pass. Well, you spoke that into your life.
Existence. Yeah.
So we don't understand how controlling our mental is, because we have to use it for memory, to remember the plays. We have to use it to make split-second decisions, to cut, to juke, to tackle, to jump. It's like playing a video game without a controller. So that we have to make sure that our mind is good, our mind is sharp, our mind is getting a proper rest. Our mind is constantly being trained. So just like we train our legs and train our arms, we got to make sure that we're reading. We got to make sure that we're counting. We got to make sure that we're going over our playbook, because that's creating muscle memory, not only in our body, but in our mind. And on top of that, the one thing about the mind is, as an athlete, each athlete is going to face some type of depression. Some is more, some, it could be the smallest thing. It could be a drop pass. Now you drop your head. That's a sign of depression. It may not last long, but that's a sign of depression. Some of it lasts longer, where it really truly affects their career. So, and that's something that I partner with Brightside Counseling, and we're bringing life coaches, former professional athletes, to be life coaches for youth, high school, collegiate, as well as professional athletes, because we are not certified clinicians, but one thing that we can do is relate to what they went through in life, what they're going through on the field or on the court, and we're able to talk them through that, unlike some other people that may have the professional licenses where they're still productive and they're still needed, but sometimes players just want to talk to another player. So I've been teaming up with Brightside Counseling, trying to create the life coaching aspect of that for our athletes in this area.
And that's important. So we're going to take care of the whole body, the mind, body, and spirit, which is extremely, extremely important. So how was your experience playing in the NFL?
It was amazing because I say that technically I shouldn't have made it, no matter how good I went to Cheney University. At Cheney University, I was the third player ever to make it to the NFL. We had Andre Waters, who played for the Eagles, and his name was Big Cat Williams, who played for the Bears. And then it's me. No other player from Cheney has ever made it to the NFL.
Wow.
So it's very uncommon. And my senior year, I didn't play college football. I just played basketball and ran track. I graduated from Cheney, and then I started my first year of my master's program at California University in Pennsylvania. And I only had 4 catches. So to take off a year, have a super down year, and still have the ability and a shot to make it to the NFL, it's a dream come true. And I just made sure that I took advantage of it.
Okay. So walk me through, was it like that night or day when you got drafted? Did you go through that?
I didn't go through the draft because I had a very down senior year. I actually started working at LA Fitness. And I got a phone call from the Rams, and they asked, did I want to come out for their rookie minicamp?
Okay. And that's how it started?
Yep, that's how it started. I went out there, and the coach told me, he said, listen, if you wasn't good enough, we wouldn't actually be out here. So don't look at the names on these jerseys. You can compete with anybody out here. And after I had that conversation with him, I just took it by storm. I mean, I took full advantage of any opportunity that I was able to be given.
So the first year when you were on the Rams, did you, and forgive me, I'm not a football fan, I love boxing, but did you actually play? Did the coach put you in, or how did that go?
I played 2 games, blocked the punt, and then I tore my ACL. So then I was out for the season.
Are you serious? I know you were super upset.
Super depressed.
Wow. And did you play for the next season?
I played 16 games the next year, but the thing about that was I broke my hand, and I never gave my hand time to heal. So I constantly kept playing because I played football, and instead of giving it time for my hand to heal, for me to be 100% to come back, I just played with a cast on. Played with a cast, and I also played with a hard shell, protective shell.
Wow. So let me go back real quick to your depression. How did you handle your depression? I know that broke you down.
I don't know how I handled it. I just would go through day. I would just go through life. I mean, I was 20.
You was on autopilot.
Yeah, I was 22, 23. And I was in St. Louis at the time by myself. My son was back in Philly, and I never really did a lot of things with the team at practice because I was hurt. So I kind of surrounded myself around other guys that was injured. I started hanging with like Danny Amendola, Marquise Johnson, Keith Tolston, Brandon McCray. Started hanging with those guys, and we just formed a real bond because we couldn't play. So we just kind of made sure that we each other up, and we just created like a brotherhood from that.
Peer support. It's nothing like it.
Absolutely.
Dom, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And please continue to love on our young African-American men because they need you. I appreciate everything that you are doing. Be blessed.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining me today. For all of you young athletes, it's important for you to eat healthy. It's important for you to get your rest. And it's important for you to pay attention to your mental state. We want you to be around for a very long time. Peace and love.